Want to learn an easy peasy way uh, to paint oriental brush painting? Hi, I'm Darlene Kaplan, international award-winning artist. I've been teaching for well over 40 years and painting longer than that, long time. Um, Today's subject is going to be the morning glory flowers. I'm going to take you through step by step. It's going to be a very easy way of learning this. The colors that you're going to need is going to be red. Get out maybe 2 different colors of reds. I use the Marie's tubes. It comes in chips, powders, any form you want to use. This is a different color of red, a little bit darker. Get you out some blue. I like the indigo. It gives a really nice dark color. And also white. And when you get the colors out, get you a little bit of water and put in your color so they're not totally dry. If you use a dry straight from the tube color, you're going to get too much glue and it's going to be shiny and it's not going to be pretty. So I use a squirt bottle. And you can use this little squirt bottle because the water in the paint will dry up very quickly. Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you step by step on what strokes you're going to use first. And I've got a worksheet here. And when I teach my classes, I always pass out worksheets and we go step by step. So this is number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5, and so forth. So that way it makes it very easy to learn. If you like my video, subscribe and hit the like button. I would appreciate it. Okay, so first I'm going to get my water in the container and I want to get my brush wet. I'm going to flip the camera over, hold on just a second, and I'm going to show you my setup of colors in my table a little bit. These are my different colors that I'm going to use for today's subject, except this brown, we're not going to use that. So these 2 reds, this is a 3rd red, I'm not going to use it, and this is the blue. My brushes are mixed hair, mixed with, it's a combination. It's mixed with sheep or wolf on the outside, fox hair on the inside. Ink stone, ink stick, I always grind my own ink. Water container, so you can rake out the excess water in these little corners without breaking your brushes. A variety of brushes there on the table. More brushes are here on this table for a different variation of brushes. You can't have too many brushes. So lots of different sizes, different shapes of brushes. Okay, I'm going to flip it back around here. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to get this medium-sized, medium hair brush. Number 1 stroke. So I want to mix up a little bit of my color. I'm going to go in with a little brush, and when I mix them, this is a little messy, but this is how I work. Get you some red with a small little brush. Get you some red out in an area. On camera it looks orange, but it's really red. Get you another little bunch of red. See the difference in the colors of the 2 reds. And now I'm going to go with some blue, and I've used this dish today already. That's why it's all messy. And I'm going to put my blue right here. So the morning glories are going to be a little purple color. So to make purple, when you do this kind of work, you're limited with your palette. Here was one I picked earlier and it dried, but you can kind of see the color of it. It's kind of a reddish, bluish purple color. So Get your brush, go into your white paint first. See the water in here running around? Push it down to one side. Take you a little bit of this white, push it into your brush. You always use the white to push. And this white will make the color stick into your paper. This is different than Western watercolor. Western watercolor, the color sits on top. The binder of the colors are different. This is designed to go through your paper. Now I'm going to go into the red first, the light red. And as you can see, your colors will change because I'm mixing that with white. Dark red. Now a little bit of blue. This blue is very strong. And find me a clean spot if you can find one. And little purplish color. Now that's a little too blue for me. I'm going to go back into this red. Put a little of that red in there. And I'm going to pick up a variety of color as I go. So stroke number one, the number, and then the direction. So stroke order, stroke direction. So number one, on the tip end of your brush, I'm sorry, but I'm hiding it from the camera. Tip end of the brush, push, and lift up. Now, you're going to make like a circle because flowers are circular inside usually. You don't want to make it straight out, make it square. Now I'm going to come over here, pretend this is a cup and saucer is a good way to look at it. Starting at the tip here and pull in to the center. So that's number two. And I left a space because I'm showing strokes. Now the third stroke is going to be in the back of the Morning Glory. So you can do it two different ways. I'm going to get a little bit of that color out of the tip of my brush, go into a little bit lighter color. Now I'm going to make like a little line here, a little line, and a little line coming here. So now I'm going to turn my brush sideways and I'm going to pull down, but I want to keep that center open as much as I can. Pull down and pulling down. So that's how you make, and I got my brush a little sideways. So that's how you make that part. Now to make a little tube, it's just a V. So all you do is make one V and one V. And when you make these strokes, these go down, this one curves in, this one curves in. Now I'm going to take another little lighter, not quite as big, and I'm going to go into the white. And not too much water. See how much water is in there? If you have too much water, it's going to run. You're going to get a blob. Push that white into my little brush. And I'm going to go into the center of my flower. And I'm going to make this in white. And that gives you, this is an automatic focus and it picks up whatever's close to me. Okay, now for the center part, there we go. Weird, I have to play with this camera. For the center part, it's going to get 3 little dots. So it's got one in the middle is longer, and then 2 small ones in the sides. Because this is white and purple, I'm going to make my little dots, my center in black. Because if I make them in white, they're not going to show. So you've got to make them in a color that will actually show. So one in the center, one on the side, one on the side. Now that's basically how you make a flower. And then it's going to get the little caps on the tip, on the base of the flower. So what you do with that is you're going to take your blue and a little bit of yellow. Blue and yellow make green. So I'm going to get a different little container, or I've got some here that I've started. So I've got my blue out here already. I can take some of that blue and I can take some of the yellow. Put some yellow in a clean area if you can find one. So here's my yellow. And I'm going to get a little bit of this blue, mix in that yellow. Now I've got a dark green. If I want it to be lighter, I can put more yellow. If I want it to be darker, I can add a little bit of black to make it more of an olive color. Sometimes it gets too grassy with just the yellow and the green. So I added a little bit of black to this to give it a little, it's hard to see on this camera, but that's actually a nice green. Now with that, I'm going to go back to my smaller of the two brushes. And I've got white in here already because I had white when I did the center of my flower. So I'm going to go into just a little bit of yellow, just dip my tip end in yellow. Now I'm going to go in, take some of this color, push it on the side, keep it nice and green, and push it down to get rid of any excess water. Now I want to go into the dark on the tip end of my brush. Now here, you go on the tip end of your brush and then you push down, tip into your brush and you push down. And the second stroke kind of goes over your first stroke, sort of like this V right here, where you went down and then this one kind of crossed over it. This is going to happen with the green on this as well. So on this side, left, tip into your brush, push down, tip into your brush, and push down. Now, if you want to add a third one, you can put one in the center. It's not necessary. Okay. Now, about the buds, and this right here is a little bit of an overflow. The little overflows are not a problem at all. If it drives you crazy, get a clean brush and clean water, and you can go at the edge of that flow. Don't go up into that dark color because it'll just flow bigger. And just sort of fold it out just a little bit. And it doesn't cover it up. What it does is it fades it out. So it just blends out into that water and you won't be able to see it. But it's no big deal if you do see it. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of, I'm going to keep this green on my brush. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm going to go back to my brush that I did my flower with. And make sure it's clean, dip in water, clean it off, rake it off about 10 times. Make sure you have all the excess water out. I'm going to go into my white. A little bit of white on the end of the brush. Make sure it's not too wet. And rake out the excess water. I'm going to go into my little red, little blue. And for the little buds, all you do is just press, pull, and lift. So that's your little bud. Small one, even smaller. So if you want one opened up a little bit more, make him push down bigger. And you can make him open a little bit where it's getting ready to open up. And basically that is how you do a single flower. Now I'm going to show you a little bit of grouping as to how you would group these and make a nice little painting. So I've got a little, and what I do each week when I teach, I am now teaching Zoom classes. New thing for me. So I paint on small pieces, then I send it out to all the students so they've got something to look at and to work from. So this is one side of grouping. These two right here are going to touch. This one touches, but it only touches right here at the base. These are all going to, this one touches here. Once I put the little stems in, these are going to touch. These will come around and touch. So everything is touching. So when you make groupings, think about taking a group photograph. You know, when you take a group photograph, everybody has to close in together in order for everyone to get into the image. So it's the same thing with this. Make sure everything is close in and tight and touching. It just looks better. Okay, so I've got my color. Now I'm going to make this center one right here. This one is going to be first. You can see he gets more attention. He's darker. So for the little grouping, I'm going to do the one in front, first stroke, second stroke. Now those I want to be kind of dark. I'm going to get a little bit of that color out the tip end of my brush. Go a little bit lighter. If I get too much water out, I'll get drag marks. If too much in, it runs. That's just the way life is. The one in the back is going to be first. So I'm going to turn my brush kind of sideways and I'm going to pull. I want to leave the center open. And I can turn this into two different ones. I can pull this way. And this is going to come from the side in. And this one's going to come from the side in as well. And again, I want to keep that side open. Now the inside got darker than these, so I'm just going to deepen them a little smidgen. So I want to keep that open. Now I'm going to make my little bracket here. Good. Now I'm going to make number 2. Need some water on my brush. When I make number 2, it's really hard when you mix your colors like this to get your colors the same color each time without getting too much blue, too much red. Trying to match it. This art is full of challenges, all of which you'll love. Number 2 is going to be behind. This one right here, I want to show a little slightly different view. I'm going to have this in front. These have 5 petals, by the way. 1, 2, 3, and then it's going to have 4 or 5 in the back. So how is that going to work? So now I'm going to pull from here in and from here in. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now for this one that's behind, I can make him a little bit softer. So it would be one behind like so. Can't have it there, it's going to bend my way off my painting. Okay. So I'm going this direction. The other one is behind there. Now I want to get rid of some of that color. Now from here, pulling down, pulling in, and in this way. And again, the rest of it is behind. And the center of the flower. And when you get them too wet, they all melt together. That's okay too. So that would be that little grouping there. And now to make some buds at random, you go into the darker color. I'll try to keep my arm out of the way. It focuses on my arm. Now, just to enhance, put one here, here, maybe one over here, two here, vining down. Okay, so those are my little buds. Whoops, I forgot to make the little thing there on that one. So follow the center and down. Okay, so that's how you're gonna do those. And now for the green, the little hearts. Over here, pick up my green and start away, pull in, pull together. And you can put a third if you want. You can give them little curly cues if you want to. This one's going to be next. And then these, keep your brush in the tip. And then each one of these will get a stem, carrying it to a different direction. Now I'm going to take each one of these. It gave it a little chance to get a little bit drier. I'm going to go into my white. And this white has a lot of water in it, so I have to keep that water away. Go into my white, sort of thick, drier brush because I'm going into wet, wet into wet. Gives you a mess if you're not careful. Now I'm going to go right in the center. And add a little white for the center. Same thing here. And same thing here. This one is behind, so I have to be careful with this one. Don't get into the other space. Takes a little bit more work. Now, and these will just blend in. I'm going to go in with a dark color for the little center part. I'm going to go into some black. I'll put a little bit of blue in this black, just to make sure it's not just black. Sometimes black is not as pretty. Right in the center, 1, 2, 3. Right in the center of this one. This one had 3, remember? So the center would be right there. 2, 3. And this one, center of it will be here. 1, 2, and 3 you can't see. Now, if you want to give them little veins, you can leave them as it is, or if you want to fancy them up a little bit, what you can do is get you a clean brush, go into a little bit of white right on the edge of your brush. And you can go right down here, here, one here in the back, and down, one here on the side, come out, and then down, one here, lay it kind of sideways, and down. And you can do the same thing here, one here, one here, down to the center. And you can do this or not. It just, this camera picks up on my hand and it, on my arm, and it gets out of focus. One here. And these light ones, it doesn't show as much. And if you want to give the little buds a little motion, you can also add a little bit of white to these. Keep it soft. When this white dries, it gets very dark, very white. I guess it wouldn't be dark, but it gets very white. Here, I'm going to lighten this up a little bit with some of that white. And here. And there. And that's how you do a little grouping. And next week, we're going to do the leaves, and we're going to put the veins in, or the vines in, so you'll be able to see the finished product next week. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. And check me out at www.darlenekaplan.com, and you can view a lot of my art there. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.